Yo, Ray,
What's up?
we all holiday vacation. Plenty of shit to talk about. But before we get into it, how was your holiday vacation? I know you spent time with the hubby and all that. What
uh,
was going on? What happened? How was your holiday?
I mean, it was good. Like we did a lot of stuff. We went a lot of places. Um, I got a new controller. I got a Steam Deck coming tomorrow. Like,
Damn.
so I mean, we had fun. How was yours? I know there was a birthday and uh,
Uh, my son's birthday was Friday, the 7th. What we did for his birthday? We went out, kicked it, got him a cake and all that. Then Sunday for Easter, we went to church. Nothing too serious. Regular stuff.
right. Yeah, we didn't do anything for Easter. Like,
Y'all don't celebrate Easter, or you was just chilling?
man, we was just chilling. Honestly, like I didn't even know it was Easter for real until my sister said something about it, and I was just like, bruh. Like my mom had made the kids like some Easter baskets and stuff, but like we didn't do like anything.
Hey, Easter ain't that Easter never been really that holiday where people actually go do shit anyway. People either just go to church or they just be in the house. You feel me? Kids open the Easter basket. That's really it. Ain't nobody cooking Easter dinner and doing all that extra shit. It's just Easter, man. It ain't, you know what I'm saying?
That and a lot of people had plans, but it randomly got cold as fuck. And so it's been
Mm-hmm.
like in the 80s. And so like that shitted on like everybody's plans.
Mm-hmm.
So that pretty much like canceled everything because like people had their kids like shorts and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. And so like nobody really went to like any of the Easter egg hunts and shit because like they had, you know what I'm saying, the outfits and everything that they had bought was like over with. Like we done put up the winter clothes and shit. Shit was crazy.
All right, so without further ado, let's talk about Redfall being 30 FPS upon launch with 60 frames per second coming down the road at a later date, which is unknown at this point. So, what you think about that?
Me personally, okay, so one, it's crazy because one, the game was supposed to come out like last year, and then this is supposed to be what like their first or second like title because I believe wouldn't Halo would have been like their first like title, but they fucked it up or
What you mean? What
whatever.
you mean that first title?
Like Xbox.
Xbox? You talking about their first big next gen game?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you exclude Forza, then it's Redfall because the only thing they had was Forza, Halo Infinite, and yeah, and Redfall. They've had a couple of third party deals and stuff like that, but basically just you just looking at Forza, Halo, and Redfall. So yeah,
Then that's crazy because everybody's been saying Red Falls was the first, so apparently no one played. Well, I mean, everybody like shitted on Halo, but I guess no one is including
it
like
came and
was
went.
the.
Nobody's still playing that game.
But I mean, that's crazy because, like I said, it was supposed to have came out last year. It's been delayed. Everyone's saying, they should delay Redfall again, and I'm like, when are they going to delay it to? Because there's just like no good window for that right now. April, May, June. I'm gonna add in July too because Final Fantasy 16 comes out at the end of
Yep.
June is taken.
Mm-hmm.
Like August has Baldur's Gate 3, which the PC community has been waiting on that for fucking ever. And then September is gonna bleed into with Starfield. So
Yep.
I'm like, there's just like no good window for them to like delay it to. I mean, to me personally, The frames don't bother me, but I feel that Xbox is like lazy as shit for that because I was looking at like the specs and shit, and there's like the fact that I want to say, like, when you look at the like for like the graphics card and shit, it was broken down to that graphics card would basically be the equivalent of like a PS4 Pro, and I
Mhm.
was just like, there's like no reason for, since everyone says, Xbox is supposed to be the world's most powerful console,
Yeah.
that the game like just shouldn't run at 60 frames. So Xbox definitely dropped the ball on that. Like, the gameplay, it also didn't help that that gameplay video that they dropped had like a fucking idiot
Yeah.
playing the damn game. Like, that shit really fucking killed it. I mean, honestly, I mean, the game still looks fun. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like I was expecting, you know what I'm saying, just like mind blowing like gameplay and visuals and shit like that. It was more so just gonna be like a fun little like multiplayer game to me, honestly. So I mean, I'm not like too. It's not like I'm not gonna get it just because it's locked. Well, it's not locked, but because it's like launching at 30 frames or whatever.
Mhm.
And then it could be that it comes like the 60 frames update comes out in like less than a month, which that would be like ideal for them, because I feel if it goes over a month, then like people are really gonna be fucking bitching at that point. And then people are already like shitting on the graphics because they're like, because the graphics aren't hyper realistic, that it should be running at a certain, you know what I'm saying, frame amount of frames. And so I don't know, man. Like, Xbox is tripping at this point.
All right. So before I go into my rant, I just want to say that Redfall does look like a fun game. It still looks like a fun game going into the year. Even last year, it was my most highly anticipated Xbox exclusive game, and it still is because they don't. There's nothing else coming out this year on Xbox that I'm really interested in. Starfield is coming. I just really, I'm not a big Bethesda fan, a big Bethesda RPG fan, so I'm not really too interested in Starfield. So Redfall still looks fun to me. It still looks good. So I just want to get that out the way. Now, going and talking about Xbox, everybody know my favorite first person shooter franchise is Halo. I got Master Chief on my shelf. I love Halo. But I've also been highly critical of Halo Infinite because 343 essentially killed the franchise with Infinite. We don't know where the franchise goes from here. The head of 343 left, the head of creative left, everybody's leaving. The game is dead. It has no content. They said it was going to have a co-op mode at launch, then they delayed the co-op mode, then they completely canceled the co-op mode. It doesn't exist. They gave up on the game. Microsoft handled their flagship IP horribly, and they just came off as lazy, entitled, and that they felt like they didn't really have to put the amount of work that you would need to ensure that Halo will be a system seller for this new system, this new generation into the game. With that being said, so far through this generation, Microsoft has been completely lazy. They've been relying on Game Pass. They've been relying on third-party deals to get them through the generation. And to me, it just comes off as entitled. Like, look, we don't have to fucking release our games when we say we're going to release them. We don't have to make sure our games are polished. We don't have to make sure our games are filled with all the content that we promise, because at the end of the day, it's quote unquote free with Game Pass. That's what people like to say on Twitter. They like to say, well, it doesn't bother me because it's free on Game Pass. First of all, Game Pass is not free. So I'm going to need people to stop saying that. But this Redfall is just a curious case, man. I just don't know what they are thinking, like from the graphics to the frame rate. And listen, it's okay if you sitting up here and you saying, okay, due to the fact that it's open world and the graphics aren't, next gen, and we got 4-player co-op, we're gonna make it 30 frames per second. Okay, I can live with that. 30 frames per second has never bothered me. And I've spoken on that before, even when it came to Gotham Knights. People in uproar about Gotham Knights. Oh, it needs to be 60. I don't give a fuck. Long as the game is running at least 30 and it feels smooth and it feels good, I don't care. Because at the end of the day, unless it's something where I'm being competitive, I really don't. I'm not a FPS whore. But in saying that, you can't tell everybody 3 weeks before release. That's unacceptable. Completely unacceptable to tell people 3 weeks before the fucking game releases. Oh yeah, we got two modes. They're both gonna be 30 frames per second. What was the point? You might as well have not even said nothing if you was gonna do that. And then the fact that you're saying, well, it's coming later on. No, put a date on it. Put a date on it, or say it'll launch sometime during the month of May, or it'll launch during the month of June. That's respectable. But don't insult our intelligence by telling us 3 weeks before the game releases that it's going to be 30 FPS. Redfall to me went from I'm going to support this game completely and buy a copy to I'll check it out on Game Pass, and if it's good, it's good. If it's not, I don't give a fuck because it's on Game Pass, and that's going to be the end of it for me because I got other shit to play. Which is true because Dead Island 2 and Star Wars Jedi Survivor are coming out in the next 3 weeks. So if your game is not up to par, nobody's going to talk about that shit, and it's going to die on arrival because you got two big releases coming on top of it. Not to mention everything that's coming in June. So I feel like you should have delayed this to July or August when there's absolutely nothing dropping. When there's nothing dropping, you should have delayed it. But now you're stuck in a situation where this game is destined to die on arrival. The Metacritic scores are going to be trash, which I don't care about those, so it's not a big deal to me. But in general, to the casuals and the people who are into that shit, the scores are going to be bad. This game, they essentially are killing this game on arrival. And this just goes back to what people have said. People that work under Microsoft and studios that have been bought by Microsoft have said they don't lead and they don't oversee projects. They just let you do whatever you want. And it sounds cool. Like, oh, I get to go work for this $1 trillion corporation and they're just gonna let me be creative and do whatever I want to do. It sounds good. But when you get over there and shit ain't running right and these games ain't optimized, and Microsoft just don't give a fuck because all they care about is Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass, then you are going to kill the brand and you are going to kill new IPs. Because I'm telling you now, it ain't going to be no Redfall sequel. This is it. This is it. There's no Redfall sequel coming. Trust me. It's not. So, look, that's my rant. If y'all want to call it that, I didn't start yelling or cursing, so it is what it is. But Microsoft, please do better. Do better because y'all can't afford to have another year like this. Y'all can't even afford for this year to be like this because you only got Starfield. Ain't nobody buying Redfall. You only have Starfield this year. And Starfield is set to be 30 frames per second as well. And that's a single player game. But we won't talk about Starfield until it's officially announced in June and we actually get to really see the game and really hear more about the game. So, hey, Microsoft, get y'all shit together, man.
Yeah, I mean, I feel it's funny that you brought up there wouldn't be like a sequel because when I was just looking at just like people that have actually like played the game, it's mixed. You have people that were saying that there's like so like in like most games you can pick up like little bits and pieces of like lore and shit like
Mm-hmm.
that. You might find like notes and stuff like that. There was a guy that they flew out there and he was just like he wasn't finding like any of that shit and he was describing it more as like Fallout where
Mm-hmm.
it's like loop driven more so, and not like story driven, kind of like you're just like picking up a bunch of shit or
Mhm.
whatever. You're like just looting everything, and all that's also like how I didn't even know that, but that's how you build up your ultimate is from like just looting shit
Mhm.
or whatever. And so to me, that's kind of a red flag that it's just, I don't know, it's just like purely gameplay,
Mhm.
all gameplay, you know what I'm saying? Like I need a smidgen of a story, you
Nigga said
know?
smidgen.
Like I need I like I the gameplay gotta be fun, but I still need a story there like somewhere, you know what I'm saying? Or else
Mhm.
I can just go fucking play Fortnite or some shit with the kids, which they got a smidgen of a story. They have their little cutscene or whatever.
Yeah,
That's
Fortnite
fine.
has a story now. Fortnite got a whole campaign and everything.
Right. Like they got stories and shit. So I mean, like you said, it's Redfall, you just it's curious because Arkham, well, the not Arkham, but the company that made it, like all their games have just been like so good. You know what I'm saying, with Dishonored and
Oh,
shit, and so
Arcane. That's what it
Arcane,
is.
yeah, I'm like it's not fucking Arkham, Arcane. But like their games have just been like really good. And so that's really more so what people are going off of. They're going off of their past. And so they're kind of like willing to like overlook like the whole frames thing just to kind of like see what's going on. But I'm like you in the fact that I'm not buying that shit no more or whatever. One, because I have entirely too much shit to play and I don't want to buy it and then I'm not gonna play it. Especially no fucking Xbox game. Like, I ain't got time to be like spending money on other consoles that like I rarely use in the first place. And so I don't know, man. Like Xbox really, really need to like get that shit together. Like I wanted Redfall to be good. Like I want Starfield to be good. Like they need that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want Xbox to like tank or nothing because then Sony gonna start getting fucking lazy at that damn point.
Mhm.
And like I don't know, like hopefully they like turn that shit around. I don't know. We'll have to see.
I'm gonna say one more thing, then we're gonna move on. This is partly why I've never been a fan of Bethesda's games. To me, Bethesda has always been a studio where, and I'm not saying that this is a fact. I'm just saying that this is how I feel about Bethesda. To me, Bethesda has always been a studio where they put out some buggy ass games with bare minimum gameplay, no story, and then they leave it up to the community to fix the game and mod it and find their own enjoyment. I've never been a fan of that. I like games that are more focused. Like, give me a reason to be doing the things that I'm doing. Don't just that I'm doing. Like, don't just stick me in some apocalyptic wasteland or some random town that has vampires in it and tell me, okay, go around and kill the leaders or go around and just collect the loot. I need to know something about the game. I need to have a reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I need to feel like I'm fighting for something. And I've never ever once received that from a Bethesda game. So I was actually really, really excited for this game. Now, as you can hear in my voice, it is what it is. I'm gonna be playing Dead Island 2 and Star Wars. If this game is halfway decent, we'll see on launch day. But it is what it is with this game, man. On the Final Fantasy 16, I don't know how much we're gonna be able to say about this game. We talked about this game a lot, but they dropped the state of play, 25 minutes of gameplay. I actually kind of skimmed through it because I kind of didn't want to spoil like some of the stuff because it was a lot of stuff and it was a lot of story related stuff too. But the game just looks really good. The combat looks really good. I just hope that it's not too spongy, and I just hope that it's not insane difficulty spikes with it being no selectable difficulties in the game and only like modifiers based on how easy you want certain mechanics in the game to be. It's a different kind of mechanic, and I'm interested to see how it's used. But that was the only thing for me. The game looks great. I'm gonna play it day one. Everybody's gonna buy this game. It's already shot up the charts just based on the state of play. Um, I just hope that they're able to balance the difficulty right, because that's always a tricky thing when you're dealing with JRPGs and the sponginess of the enemies and the leveling up. So I just hope they're able to get that right and not make the game where I have to spend 30 hours leveling up my person so I can go fight a boss in the main story. But hey, other than that, it looks great and everybody's gonna be playing it. So what did you think about that state of play?
Um, I only watched it just because I wanted to see if we was gonna get a demo. Like I knew we
I
wasn't
know I
because
felt in my heart I wanted to announce a demo, but I just knew that they wasn't.
no, I knew we weren't gonna get a demo because he already said that we weren't
Mm-hmm.
getting it until it was like closer to release, but
Yep.
still. And then I've also just been staying away from 16 as much as possible. Like, I mean, I know a lot of people feel that like a lot's being shown, but like Yoshi P, he always does this. Like
Mm-hmm.
even with the Final Fantasy 14 trailers, a lot is shown, but there's, I mean, by the end when the credits are rolling, it's like you've been blown. So I mean, I know that stuff isn't necessarily being spoiled, but I mean, I didn't want to see anything. Like I didn't even want to see like what the fucking main menu looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I liked that he uh he he compared paired the game to being on like a roller coaster
Mm-hmm.
because like I said, if you played 14, that's exactly how you would describe that shit because you are constantly on a fucking roller coaster of emotions. You're on a roller coaster when you're in the fucking raids. Like that's it was a perfect like explanation. And so I also see that we're back like to traveling around like via world map. So some shit kind of like Final Fantasy 10, I guess, with like the airship. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, ain't nothing wrong with that. It's I guess like linear in that aspect. A lot of people for some reason were saying that it was gonna be open world, but they like never said this shit. I don't know where they got that from. Like the backdrop and everything is like beautiful. Like the locales are beautiful. Like I love that the battle theme that's being played. It sounds like a remix of "Don't Be Afraid" from Final Fantasy VIII's battle
Mm-hmm.
theme. Like I like the skill trees, like the skill trees, all the your abilities and shit are gonna come from the icons. So it looks like there'll be like a lot of different builds that can be made. Um, I've seen like a lot of mixed shit on like the timely accessories. Like they added the timely accessories, I feel, for the people that were bitching about a turn-based game.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, and so it would be accessible because like they like focus on like, hey, these are for people that like aren't necessarily good with action games, and there's like nothing wrong with that because like everyone should like experience the game or whatever. I feel like it's gonna be game of the year. Like you also there was some dude he went on a rant or whatever that all of gameplay was gonna you could just like press a button and it's like you could do that with like the timely accessory, but like you don't have to like equip none of that shit
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. And so as much as people bitch and moan about shit like easy modes for like harder games, like when they do shit like try to be inclusive, they still get pushback, which is like crazy to me. And so I also see that I believe it's like timely focus. It'll like slow combat down so you can just
Mm-hmm.
like press a button when like you need a dodge or whatever. I feel like they also had like those turn-based purists in mind, or when you can equip like the auto dodge type
Yep.
shit, they had them in mind. So like the fact that they're still like bitching about the game when they're clearly trying to cater to everyone was just like fucking blowing me or whatever. And then I liked that there's like a trainer mode. And so this leads me to believe that like people that want like a challenge won't feel like they won't be left out because I feel if you have to practice combos, like there's gonna be a need for that shit
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. Probably it won't might not come into like hard mode like once you completed the game, but I don't know. And then I also like that there's like the whole competitive leaderboard, which some people enjoy. Honestly, like I don't personally care about that, but some people like that. Um, there was also like a lot of misunderstandings. I feel that was cleared up by the state of play. Like a lot of people misunderstood what Yoshi said when he was saying that there was gonna be no side content that like doesn't pertain to the story. And
Mm-hmm.
so for some reason people took that as no side quests. Like they're definitely side quests. Like to me, what I think he meant was it ain't gonna be like go pick 5 apples for Johnny or whatever and fetch quests and shit like that. Is everything is gonna be tied in to the actual story. And then there was also the misconception that there wouldn't be any like Ultima or Omega type fights. Me personally, I feel like that's where the hunt board is gonna come in, the way because it says like elite like marks or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously like they're gonna be increased in difficulty or whatever. And so also like the little sprites that they had of Clive and Hippocrates,
Yeah, it was
whatever with the
dope.
lore. Yeah, the lore tones kind of like a throwback. It was like
Mm-hmm.
nostalgic and stuff. And then like you could go even deeper with the lore when you had a Vivian Ninetales who gives info on all the characters and shit. And that cleared up the misconception because you had people that were bitching, oh, because it's fully action, that there's not going to be any story when clearly like there's gonna be a story, there's gonna be like rich ass lore and shit. Like the icon versus icon fights look like insane or whatever. Like the Phoenix versus Bahamut fight, it looked like it had some Returnal type shit going on. You dodging like the orbs and stuff. The the Afreet versus Titan had like some platforming type shit thrown in, which to me I feel was a throwback to 14 because in Titan's Raid, like you continuously had to be moving, like you had to move in a pattern. Like when you did the Eden raids with Titan, there were like these brownie fucking movement things that you had to do. Like I don't know, I feel like that was a throwback to that. I don't know. I'm like super excited for 16. Like that shit gonna be game of the year. A lot of people saying Tears of the Kingdom gonna be game of the year. I think it's gonna be 16. I know how you feel about Tears of the
Don't
Kingdom.
get me started about that damn game. But listen, before we move on to Tears of the King, I just want to say one thing. This is has nothing to really do with the show tonight. But listen, I'm on eBay. All right, so I've been trying to find a physical copy. Everybody know I need my games physical. I can't fuck with the digital shit. I need my physical collection. So I've been trying to find Anno Mutation M, the physical. It was on limited run. Obviously, it's not there no more because the game is like old at this point. But so I get on eBay. Mutation people, the devs actually responded to me on Twitter and they said they will have more physicals coming soon. But like when the game is old, by God, like like what are y'all doing? Where's the physicals? So at this point, I'm like, fuck it. I get on eBay. I'm gonna make this quick. I'm about to wrap this up. I get on eBay. I see somebody got it for $50. So I'm like, damn, it's still in the package and everything. So I'm like, damn, I need that. It's now up to $59, and I keep going back and forth with this one motherfucker. Listen, stop bidding against me. Let me get the fucking game, bro. Okay, like stop, bro. You can play the game digital. All right, I need the physical. Stop bidding against me, nigga. I waited till you fell asleep. I just placed another bid and upped it to $59 because I know you can't. You're not gonna respond right now. It's too late. All right. Let me get the damn game because I will take it to $100. Okay. I have the money to go to war. Don't play with me. Let me get the game and stop up in the bed if you know you're not going to buy it. Moving along. Tears of the King. New trailer came out. I'm gonna let you talk about Tears of the King before I say my piece.
I know how you feel about the game.
I'm gonna let you get it in before I speak, man. Go ahead, man.
Honestly, to me, like I feel like I said, I'm not like a hardcore Zelda fan, although I have a lot of hardcore Zelda fans on like my on my timeline, and so I could see like why they would just be like extremely hyped. You know
Why?
what I'm
Tell
saying?
me. Elaborate. Why would they be hyped for this?
First, you had the return of Ganondorf. Okay, he ain't been there in 17 years since Twilight Princess.
Oh
Okay,
my
you
god.
got a lot of speculation about that. A lot of people are excited about that. Then you had what appeared to be Demise. Okay, and so then you also had the chick that everyone's thinking is Hyla or whatever. And then a lot of people they're excited for like I guess for like the rockets and like for the boat and like the car and shit that you can make or whatever. I don't know. Look, I'm not a Zelda fan, so like I said, I can't speak on like their hype or whatever. I saw like I didn't finish Breath of the Wild. I saw it like my husband played it, like he loves Zelda or whatever. So like I seen it, like it's got like a lot of returning characters or whatever. I don't know. I can see where the hype would come from. To me, I know you feel like it's a DLC. A lot of people though like recanted their thought that it was a DLC after the trailer dropped. So like, like what don't you like about it? Like what you don't like about it?
Listen, I'm not gonna keep talking about this damn game. Listen, I'm gonna talk to the gaming industry today. I want to talk to the Game Awards. I want to talk to Jeff Keighley. I want to talk to Metacritic. I want to talk to IGN. Basically, all of the people who get paid to make these decisions. And we know what the decisions will be because we know what the Nintendo check is like. But if y'all allow this game, anybody who allows this game to be in the Game of the Year conversation, you are a bozo. And it's just that simple. If you allow a Zelda game, not just a Zelda game, a Zelda glorified, all right? Some people walk back, it's not a DLC. Okay, I'll walk it back too. It's not a DLC. It's a glorified DLC. If y'all allow a glorified DLC to get 10 out of 10s and get fucking game of the year and all this shit, y'all are killing the industry with this. Because who's to say when once they release the Elden Ring DLC, and they do this with a lot of games to up the score, if you notice. When they release the Elden Ring DLC, they'll review it. They're gonna review it as if it's a new game, and they're gonna put a nice big score on it, as if it's deserving of an additional 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. Listen, it's not, and y'all have to stop. If you are excited for Zelda, be excited for Zelda. I seen a post. I seen a post yesterday where a motherfucker put up. Uh, I think it was no, it was Horizon. They put up Forbidden West, 60 frames. Zelda, Tears of the King, 60 frames per second. Redfall, 30 frames per second. And they was basically clowning on Redfall. If you think that Zelda is gonna run anything over not 30, if you think Zelda is gonna run anything over 25 frames per second, you played yourself. You played yourself, and you are a bozo. That game is absolutely in no way, shape, form, or factor going to be 60 frames per second. And y'all know goddamn well that game is going to be 25 frames per second at what, 940p or some shit like that. Like, cut it out. All right. Stop the malarkey. Stop trying to prop this game up, please. Like, it's about to be the next masterpiece. It's another Zelda game. If you want to say the series is a masterpiece, I'll agree with that. It's some very classic games in the Zelda series. It's been really consistent. But you're not finna sell me on a game running on a tablet 7 years after the shit released and 6 years. 6 years after the shit released, and you're gonna get me to think that this is gonna be the greatest shit since sliced bread, since they added a mechanic now that you can build stuff basically or combine stuff. Cut it out, man. Just cut it out. It's okay. See, here's the thing. People don't like to be realistic with their approach to shit. Like, to me, you said that Final Fantasy 16 is gonna be the game of the year for you, or you think it's gonna be a game of the year. That's cool. I respect that. It's gonna be an amazing game, and it's definitely gonna be in the conversation. For me, Resident Evil 4 is my game of the year. But in being realistic, because there's a such thing as being realistic and being delusional. Is Resident Evil 4 gonna win a game of the year? No, it's not. It's not. It's got too much working against it. It's a remake upon a game that was already considered a masterpiece. There are going to be bigger games with that are offer larger experiences, bigger maps and stuff like that. Resident Evil is more focused, more linear. All right, it's not going to win Game of the Year. I can be realistic about that. But anybody sitting here trying to tell me that a game on an Android tablet is about to blow everybody's minds away and be better than Final Fantasy, be better than Spider-Man, be better than fucking Starfield, be better than everything this year. Stop it. Just stop. And that's all I want to say. Look, if you're happy for the game, be happy, but don't be delusional because it's a difference, and it's way too obvious that you're being delusional over this goddamn game.
See, I could have sworn it was running at 30 frames. I thought because I seen another post or whatever. It didn't have Horizon in it. It was just Tears of the Kingdom and Redfall, and they were like both of them were running at 30 frames or whatever. But you had people that was like, Tears of the Kingdom is beautiful, you know what I'm saying? It looks good. But then you had people that was like Redfall was shit for running at 30 frames a second, which I feel is unfair or whatever, because you know what I'm saying? I don't know. They said that because Tears of the Kingdom was also running at 30 frames, that pretty much it was even worse for Redfall or whatever
Bro, how
because
does that
it
make
runs on the game.
sense? But where's the logic in that? You telling me that a game that has 4-player co-op in an open world with constant heavy action going on and a fucking 1,000 different projectiles and enemies on the screen at one time, combined with the fact that everybody has powers they're gonna be throwing out, that's just gonna destroy the frame rate, bro. So if you want to make a case that okay, it should be 60 frames per second, we know that. But the fact that it's gonna be so much shit going on in the game at one time, I'm fine if it's 30 frames per second for a month. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? But Zelda is gonna be a single player game that looks like a Wii U game running on a tablet, and it's gonna be 30 frames per second when you're doing nothing. It's gonna be 30 frames per second when you fucking putting a stick on top of a rake. It's gonna be 30 frames per second when you fighting one enemy. But just like Breath of the Wild, as soon as it starts snowing and you trying to climb a mountain, 22 frames per second. As soon as it's more than 2 enemies on the screen, 26 frames per second. As soon as the weather change and you're running at the same time and there's 2 enemies chasing you, 24 frames per second. That shit is not going to be running at a steady 30 frames. So I just want people to keep the same energy and understand that, look, it's cool to bash Microsoft. It's even cool to bash Sony because those are the really 2 main competitors. But we always let Nintendo off the hook as a community because they put out the weakest hardware on purpose because they know that they can't compete with PlayStation with Sony and Microsoft. So what they do is they find a gimmick that they know is going to work, which is very smart, and I applaud them for that because that's how they've been able to be in business for so long, and how they've been able to reinvent themselves while also having innovative products that the consumers really want. But at the end of the day, they make a weak hardware and they put some gimmick on it, whether it's the motion control or whether it's the Switch been able to have a dock and be held handheld, or whether it's the Nintendo 3DS. Yeah, we can't compete with the Vita. It's much more powerful. But look, we got 3D. You can flip a switch and it goes 3D. They always have these gimmicks, and people justify this shit while saying, "Oh, well, of course it's not 30 frames per second, or it's not going to be steady. It's on the Switch." Then why are you giving them a pass for still putting out games on the Switch in 2023 and not making another system because it sells well, because of greed? Because at this point, the Switch should be a last gen system. At this point, that again, another conversation for another day. Like I said, I told y'all on the last part, I was not gonna keep talking about Nintendo till the next time they did some dumb shit. I went off on a tangent. I apologize. But Nintendo, man, like, come on, bro. Y'all let them off the hook. People let them off the hook for everything. For everything. Again, and I'm gonna talk about this shit because I'm still mad about it. This shit really weighing on my heart. I took my daughter to see fucking Mario yesterday. The movie was amazing, man. We know my favorite Nintendo character is DK, Donkey Kong Gang. I'm talking about, but he had a big spotlight in the movie, and I was so happy to see that they really celebrated Donkey Kong, and he was a main hero in the movie next to Mario and Luigi. That shit was awesome to me. And then I'm thinking, like, damn, I want to go home. I want to go home, and I want to play Tropical Freeze. Well, you know what? You know what? Tropical Freeze is still a full price game. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna keep talking about this shit. They're gonna start talking about how I talk about Tropical Freeze every fucking pod. Cause I really want to play this goddamn game, but I refuse to support Nintendo selling this shit at $50 in 2023. Like, no, I'm not gonna support that, yo. And I'm trying to have some patience. I really want to get my DK on, but I just can't do it. So I'm just fighting the urge to buy this fucking game. And yeah, I just can't do it, man. Listen, Nintendo, I'm not gonna elaborate further. Do you have anything else you want to say about Nintendo? I'm taxed.
I mean, I feel the reason Nintendo gets let off the hook is because like they prey upon nostalgia.
Yep.
Like that's their whole thing. Like they have killed pretty much like the same series for like forever. Like you still have Zelda, you still have Mario games, you still have Kirby games. You know what I'm saying? You still have Pokemon games. Like they keep like the same series. Still got Metroid. So they keep like preying upon nostalgia and like because they know these are like people have like childhood memories. These were a lot of people's first games that like they ever played or whatever, and so that shit holds weight. And so I feel that's why so many people just like let their ass slide on that shit. Which I mean they shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Like the prices for the fucking Pokemon games are outrageous. You won't they want to split the Pokemon now, you know what I'm saying, between two games. They always did. Well, I ain't gonna say they always did. They always had the legendary. You had red and blue, green, yellow, you know what I'm saying, whatever. That's fine. But to split an entire roster is crazy. And then you want to charge $120 and then you want to charge fucking DLC. Goddamn, that shit. I don't know, man. Nintendo greedy as hell for real, man. That's why so many people support piracy for Nintendo games. Like,
And then it's like y'all have so many like, where's Ness? Where's Earthbound? Where's F-Zero? Where's finally a brand new fully 3D, not side scrolling, fully 3D Donkey Kong game? Where's Luigi's Mansion 3? Where is the next 3D Wario game? We haven't had one since the
ooh,
GameCube. Like,
boy.
what, they have so many franchises that they just refuse to use. I don't understand. We
It's that's because you had Pokemon. Pokemon sold like what, 10
oh
million or like 20 million in like what, the first day or some crap.
so basically it's because the dumbass Nintendo fans won't stop buying trash games. All right, moving along. So April releases. April releases. So it's April. We halfway through. So what came out? Astorigos came out today. Deluxe edition physical for PS5. I definitely pre-ordered that at GameStop. And I went to GameStop today to pick up my pre-order, and they did not have my pre-order. So I had to get on Amazon, and I had to pay $15 extra to overnight it so that it can be here tomorrow because I planned on playing it today. So thank you, GameStop, for being incompetent. I love y'all. I do business with y'all. I enjoy being an influencer for y'all. But thank you for not having my pre-order that I pre-ordered. Moving along. So we got Dead Island 2 next week. And we have Jedi Survivor. Those are the big releases. Is there anything I'm missing?
As far as big releases, no, because we have like a lot of games that like have already came out, like Live Alive. It's already been out on Switch. It came out on PS5.
Let me look on my PlayStation while I'm sitting here.
That is, it's a remake of a game that came out in '94 on
Mm-hmm.
the SNES or whatever, and so it's made in like that HD 2D like Octopath style. It is turn based, but it's still like different. Like you have like grid based system or whatever, and then you got a like the ninja character, like he can use stealth. He can like not fight for like his entire like chapter or whatever. And then you have like this character that's like from the future that can like he can teleport out of battle. Like each character is like completely unique. Like they have like different abilities and shit. And so like their play style is just like it's unique or whatever to that like chapter. You got like a lot of secret bosses. It's even though it's turn based, like the battle system can still be like rewarding. Like I've been on the fence about buying that one because when it came out, I just wasn't playing my Switch like
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, Even though it just came out on PS5, I'll probably get it on Switch just because I'm starting to like prefer playing just like those types of games handheld or whatever instead of like playing it on the I don't feel a need to play it on the fucking OLED TV.
Yeah, that's
I'm
facts.
gonna put it that way. Um, there was also another very niche JRPG that's coming out. The Fairy Fencer F Refrain Chord. When I first saw that, I was like super excited because I liked Advent Dark Force, which I completely recommend just for like shits and giggles or whatever. Like it had like a lot of fan service. It had a large ass cast. It had a lot of comedic moments. Like there was replay value. You had to like replay the game like 3 times to get like the final roster because the remaining characters were like enemies and shit or whatever. Like combat was turn based, but again with a spin. So it was like Arc the Lad, Twilight of the Spirits, where it was kind of tactical, where you had like this circle that you could like freely move around in, like no grid or nothing like that. And then you had where you could fairy eyes and turn into like a mech type form, kind of like Cosmos from like Xenosaga.
Mm-hmm.
And then like character customization was like in depth, and then it was like persona and the fact that it had different difficulty settings. But when I finally looked at the fucking trailer for Refrain Corp, it's a tactical JRPG, which I mean, ain't I like tactical JRPGs, but I just thought it was gonna be like Evan Dark Force. So like
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of bummed about that. Um, I don't know if I could even like recommend Refrain Chord or whatever, just because it's not something that I'm like finna get right now. Maybe I'll try it later. Then on the 19th, you have the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster. So that's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be 1 through 6, which I mean I already own those, but I don't feel like dragging out a fucking PS1 and then having to get the cords and then the fucking attachment so I can hook up those
Mhm.
fucking cords. So
That's just
I'm gonna
good to
get
have in the
that.
collection.
Right, like so I'm gonna get that because sometimes I get the urge to like play like those old ass type games or whatever. Dead Island 2, I'm like extremely excited about because
Hmm.
I've been waiting on it for forever. And actually today, about 4 hours ago, somebody leaked 36 minutes of gameplay. And I watched it and I'm pleased because at first, like as I kept looking at the gameplay that they kept showing, like they just kept showing like the same like pre-rendered gameplay. And if
Hmm.
you actually like analyze that gameplay, it had like a lot of shit going on and that shit that was like kind of fucked up. Like your character would be standing there and then its shadow would be wrong. It like wouldn't have like the character in it had I forgot what they had equipped, but it was not the claws. But the shadow had the fucking claws or whatever. And so you had that shit going on. And then you had like the zombies. So of course you're not gonna have a million like unique zombies, but they had a lot of shit where like the same zombie, exact zombie, would be
Hmm.
like attacking one thing or whatever. So you got like three of like the same exact model or whatever. So it looks like they saw that and like they addressed those issues because like the 36 minutes of gameplay that I seen today looked like really fucking good.
Hmm.
um, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I haven't looked into that at all just because I wanted to keep that I wanted to be completely in the dark about it just because I still need to finish up the first one. But I heard something about I seen it on Twitter. People were talking about like there was gonna be world building. And so I'm trying to figure out what were they like kind of like they got like the wrong idea. Somebody said like world building where they meant like exploration, or do they mean world building like actual fucking world building?
Nah,
Like
ain't no world.
so it ain't nothing like that.
No.
Okay, but I don't know. It's still from what I saw, like the graphics look like really good.
Did you
But
that the first game just took me the reason why I'm getting Jedi Survivor, but the reason why I'm not super excited for it is because it literally took me 3 years to beat the first one. Like I got the first one on Xbox One X at the beginning of 2020. It came free with the system, and it literally took me until the beginning of this year to actually finish it because that game had some of the worst pacing. I need people to understand what I'm saying. They'll say, "Oh my god, that game was so great! How you get?" I'm specifically talking about the pacing. That game's pacing was so bad. The checkpoints were so bad, and then the fact that after you beat the boss of the level, you had to backtrack for 10 minutes just to get back to the ship. So, but they said this game has fast travel, and they've shored that up. So, hey, we'll see when it releases. Dead Island 2, I'm extremely excited about it. I watched the developer walkthrough, and I'm a sucker for interiors. If a game is going to allow me to explore, fully built and realize interiors in addition to it being set in Los Angeles and being nice in the open world, I'm down for it. It looks really good. The limb system looks really good. Everything about that game is just like what I'm looking for, and I just can't even believe that this game is coming out next Friday because that game has been pushed back and in development hell for so long. But I cannot wait to play the Dead Island, and so we got an update. So also this month, Disney Speedstorm comes out, which is basically Mario Kart but with Disney characters. Um, I don't know if anybody cares about that.
I
Um,
didn't even know it was coming out.
I didn't know even until I'm looking at the PlayStation pre-order section. Minecraft Legends comes out next week. That's already getting some mid reviews. We'll see. Minecraft is kind of like it's up and down. It's either really good or it's really bad. Minecraft Dungeons is really good though. And also, we finally have a release date for Lord of the Rings Gollum. Now, this game was announced and had a CGI trailer at the very first PS5 State of Play back in 2020, like the beginning of the summer 2020 when this game was announced. Finally got a release date today. And this game is releasing on May 25th. I just watched the pre-order trailer, and the game looks really, really good, as I thought it would. It's a stealth adventure puzzle game starring Gollum. It looks really good. The graphics are really good. Gameplay looks smooth. They got Gollum swimming in the water, hitting levers, doing stealth attacks on enemies. It looks really good. So that'll be the May game because there's nothing else coming out in May, realistically, besides Redfall. But again, Redfall is, what do you call it? Like a not skill based, like a not hero based. It's like a power based shooter, so it's kind of like you either like that or you don't.
Right.
So is he Redfall and Gollum for May? That's really it. There's nothing to talk about in May, but yeah, for April, just Dead Island, a couple of cool JRPGs. Something else came out today when I was in GameStop. Mega Man Battle Network Collection that came out today. Um, I want to pick that up, but here's the thing: I'm real picky. If it don't got a PS5 case, I can't fuck with it. I know it's stupid. I understand, but I need it to fit into my collection. I can't have a PS4 case sticking out like a sore fucking thumb in my collection of new games. So if I do check that out, it'll wind up being on Xbox. But yeah, I never really played the Battle Network games, but I do like Mega Man, and they do look kind of fun. So might check that out. Not sure, but Astorigos tomorrow. I'm really excited about. It's like a fantasy, uh, Dark Souls, basically. Really excited for that to play that tomorrow. Again, thank you GameStop for not having my pre-order that I pre-ordered on time for no apparent reason. Thank you. But yeah, that's really it for May. Just the two big releases and some titles in the middle to hold us over. May is looking very barren, so I'm glad that we have these titles that will bleed us over into June because Dead Island 2 and Jedi Survivor are gonna be games with tons of content, tons of replayability. Obviously, Dead Island you could play online with your friends. Obviously, Jedi Survivor is going to be a huge game with all of these different worlds, all of these different side quests that you could do at your own discretion. Of a long campaign, at least 25, not 25, at least 20 to 25. And plus, you got the difficulty setting, so a lot of replayability on that. So that'll carry us over, man. That'll carry us over till June when you got everything really coming out. And I think that was it. Did I have another rant to go on? Yeah, Colt. Yeah, I wanted to talk about Colt Eastwood really quickly. Then we will get out of here. So just in general, this isn't really directed towards Colt Eastwood, but just in general for influencers, right? So Colt flew out. Obviously, he got flew out. He's an Xbox influencer. He got flew out to play Redfall. Did I say that right? Flew or flown? Flew, whatever. He got flew out to play Redfall, and when he came back, he did his impressions video. He said it looks gorgeous. He said the gunplay was punchy and crunchy, and it just was so good and so responsive, and it ran so smoothly. You know, just playing it, and it's a really going to be a really good experience for Series X users. Fast forward a week later, and now he's saying, "Oh, well, when we got there, we actually played it on PC. We didn't even play it on the Xbox. So that was the first red flag. And then it was dropping frames and it wasn't consistent and it was below 30 and it was chugging. And, it just wasn't a good experience. But he didn't say any of that in his in his video where he talked about the game. So people were calling him out about that for basically being a paid shill, as you if you want to phrase it that way, and basically lying about the game just because he's a Xbox ambassador. Now, my real quick thoughts on that is, listen, always maintain your integrity, and that's how you are going to be able to really reach people and have people really be around for the long term. Because if you're a console warrior, right, and you just constantly talk about Xbox is the greatest, fuck PlayStation, you're gonna do the numbers, you're gonna get followers and all that, but it's not gonna last, because eventually, what else do you have to offer? What else are you gonna have to offer? So if you can't be real with your audience and you can't be real with yourself, then you're a bozo, and people are gonna look at you like a bozo, and people is gonna cook you up on the internet like they doing. So to all of the influencers out there, listen, don't lie about a game just because you feel like you want to be in good graces with the company. Because at the end of the day, when you sacrifice your morals for that check, you can't get that back. You cannot get that back. And people will always remember that. And that's why you look at bozos like the Dreamcast guy and their views have just fallen to shit. Because they don't have any morals, they don't have any integrity. So don't be like those bozos. Always tell the truth about these games and don't mislead your audience. And that's all I got to say about that. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, I felt that that was just like crazy. That one, the way he switched up on it, but two, the fact that they had them playing on them old ass 2002 Dell
Yeah,
towers.
like what the fuck?
And then on top of that, he was like the dude that was sitting next to him went into optimization and the shit was on mixed settings of like medium and high. And it was still dropping frames. And so he even went back and changed it to like low and it was still dropping frames.
Nasty.
And so then, like, first, I didn't even realize, like, that IGN video that I had watched until I even watched his other video that this shit has like 15,000 dislikes. Like, I didn't even know that until I, like, watched his video. That to me was fucking insane that it had so many dislikes. But to the fact that they built Redfall in fucking Unreal 4, which it was crazy. I'm like, if you knew like all this information, like why were you sitting there just like hyping it up? And then he at the end to like towards the end of his video, he goes on to say, like, I mean, but still, the game might be good and like I have a compilation of the gunplay on, on my Twitter. And it's like so like why even make the rant if you still gonna backpedal again and be like, but the game gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. To me, the shit was crazy because like I ain't never seen somebody backpedal so hard and so fast.
This is why. This is why when Xbox kicked me out. Listen, you didn't see me go on Twitter and say, "Motherfuck Xbox, y'all some shit, y'all this woo." I ain't do all that. I just simply said, you know what? They didn't want me to speak my mind. I can't say what I wanted to say. They kicked me out. It is what it is. Fuck them. I'll move on. Life goes on. Like, because at the end of the day, no matter how small my audience is, I would rather have an audience of, let's say, 1,000 people, right? I'd rather have an audience of 1,000 people that fuck with me because I keep it real and they know that they're always going to get an honest opinion from me versus an audience of 50,000 people that are only around for controversy and console war shit. But then if I post, you know, look at this indie game coming out, Astorigos, this game is going to be dope. Everybody should check it out. It doesn't get any engagement or it doesn't get the same engagement. Because that's not, that just doesn't even out to me. I don't want to be known as somebody that's like all for the fuck shit. So I'm fine, like not shilling for these companies as long as it allows me to, like I said before, maintain my integrity because that's a big part of who I am. I always want to know that I'm doing something because I love it and I'm saying something because it's how I truly feel. Like when I talk about Tears of the King, I don't give a fuck about no goddamn Nintendo. I don't care if I put up a video about Nintendo and they flag it or Nintendo never want to put me in the fucking Nintendo the capital N partner program. I don't give a fuck about none of that, honestly, because I don't even play Nintendo enough to be interested in, really like locking in with them to do business. I'm not a big Switch. I barely play my Switch. I get on it to play Streets of Rage or the Sega Collection or something, and then my son use it to watch Coco Melon. Like that's about it for me. So I'm not gonna fake like I like something or that I'm such a hardcore fan of some shit just because. And that's why you look at all these Xbox influencers and they always doing all this cap and they woofing on Xbox, this, that, and the third. But then you pull their profile and they not playing no games. They're not gaming. So at the end of the day, you doing all this for some shit that you really don't even care about. Because at least when I was an Xbox ambassador, I was playing the game. I put time into Halo Infinite, even though I didn't fuck. I thought the game was trash because it's my favorite franchise. I fuck with it that much. I put the time in. I played that shitty game that everybody tried to say was so good, Grounded, with the giant spider, the Honey I Shrunk the Game. That shit was trash. I played it though to have an opinion on that game. So it's just like, man, just don't backtrack. Don't put yourself into a position where you have to backtrack for these companies because at the end of the day, they don't care about you. As soon as they feel like they can't use you, they will move on from you. And they will still be in business and they will still be making all of the money. And what will you be doing? What will you be doing? You'll be on Twitter begging for a job like Paris does. They fly this nigga out to every Xbox event, but then he's on Twitter begging for a job saying, hey, can y'all look at my resume? And they always give him the same answer. Yeah, we'll check it out. You send it to us. And he's still begging for a job. I don't want to be like that. So look, just keep it. We're going to end it on that note. Just keep it real. We here to talk about games. We here to really put in the time on these games and really have fun. You know what I'm saying? And we here to keep it G at all times. We're not going to talk about shit that we don't have experience on or that we may not be interested or we don't have the most knowledge. And that's what makes this podcast so great because if I don't have the knowledge on something, I'm not going to speak on it. I don't have the knowledge on Live Alive. So I'm going to let Ray talk about it. I'm not buying a Final Fantasy Pixel remaster. So I'm going to let her tell y'all about it. I am probably going to buy Lord of the Rings Gollum. That's why I talked about it a little bit. A lot of people probably don't even know about that game because it's been delayed so long. But I'm going to talk about it because I'm interested in the game. So that's the thing, man. Just keep it real all the time. Don't fake and don't shill for none of these companies. That's not the way. Just game, have fun, stay true to yourself. We've been gone for a while. I'm going to let Ray take us home, and we about to go to sleep.
So yeah, follow me at Darkling_Ray. And then follow him, 2099 Gaming, on everything. And with that being said, ChronoNexus. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.